Coming up next, it's your QEH Pulse Radio Show, brought to you with the compliments of Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd.
For all your medical supply needs, visit Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmetts Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd. Your trusted source for medical essentials.
Yeah, when you hear that music, you know what time it is. Time for another edition of the Pulse Radio Show, a production of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in collaboration with the CBC, Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. And of course, we have our sponsors in Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd. I'm your host, Shane Seeley. Always good to be in your company. A lot happening at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And when I say a lot happening, there is a mass casualty right now, and we'll try to bring you up to speed about how our accident and emergency department is responding to that. So we'll have our head of A&E, Dr. Anne-Marie Cruikshank, consultant and lady in charge there at the A&E, to tell you all about what is happening as we deal with this mass casualty. I understand that a bus would have overturned somewhere in the area of the Lester Vaughan School. More details as they come to hand, but yes, as a result, a number of injuries and a number of people coming to the accident and emergency department for treatment. That means that A&E is busy, is very busy right now, with our doctors and our medical teams trying to make sure that those patients are adequately dealt with and really that we get them back on their feet and make them feel as comfortable as possible. That has to be a traumatic situation for any person who would have been on that bus and who would have been involved in that accident. So we're trying to do the best as we can to settle them and get them really treated and managed in our accident and emergency department. We do have Dr. Cruikshank on the line now. Dr. Cruikshank, good morning. How are things there in the accident and emergency department as you respond to this mass casualty?
Good morning, Shane. We are responding to this mass casualty. We sent out a team to the scene. As you would have known, ZR van overturned on the main road in front of Lester Vaughan School, and we have about 26 casualties, 23 green, which are minor cases, and 3 yellows, which require a little bit more care. So we are pretty busy at the moment down in the A&E.
Yeah, and this is what we mean by the ebbs and the flows of traffic into the accident and emergency department. We see this sometimes. Sometimes there's a surge, and then our teams are responding to those situations. Sometimes there's a lull, and we still are responding to patients as they come in. But at this moment, I can only understand or believe that this would be compare to what would be a surge situation in the accident and emergency department.
Yes, we're trying to manage as best as we can, and we would get some assistance, obviously, from the 24-hour clinic. So hopefully we'll be able to get all these patients sorted accordingly.
So what is the advice to persons who may be considering coming to the accident and emergency department for treatment? What is the advice right now?
I would say that obviously we would take the patients that do have to come and are referred by their general or polyclinic doctor. But if you think your condition can go to your private or polyclinic doctor and you don't need accident and emergency per se, I would say at this point in time, I would advise you to seek other medical treatment until we are stabilized all the patients that have come from the accident.
Yeah, so we are dealing with those patients who would have come from that accident, overturned bus in the area of the Les Savons School. 20 plus patients would have been coming to the accident and emergency department for treatment. So we're really appealing to you. If you are uncertain, you can remember you have that option of calling our patient advice and liaison service, PALS, our help desk at 536-4800. That's 536-4800 if you're uncertain. You make that call and we will guide you on what your next course of treatment should be. But thank you, Dr. Cruikshank. Thanks for the update. And of course, we know that you have to get back to the grind there in the accident and emergency department dealing with this mass casualty situation.
Yes, so I just want to reiterate, we are getting some assistance from the 24-hour clinic and they're assisting us, but we are working to sort out those patients that have arrived in the A&E so far.
Yeah, teamwork, good to hear, and that we're getting that assistance. But again, thank you, Dr. Cruikshank. And let us know, you can keep us updated. We'll check back in with you when we were getting closer to the end of today's edition of the Pulse Radio Show to see how things are looking.
Okay, will do. Thank you too, Shane.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. That's Dr.
Right.
Amory Cruikshank, the head of the Accident and Emergency Department, consultant there, dealing with this, her and her team dealing with this mass casualty situation which would have occurred in the area of the Les Savons School. No life-threatening injuries, but a number of those who were injured in that accident have been heading to the Accident and Emergency Department, and as you heard Dr. Cruikshank say, some of our partners are helping in this process. So just updating you, things always happening at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Our team's always being called to respond to any situation you may have, and that's what we do through this Pulse Radio Show as well, because we want to hear from you. I'll give you the numbers shortly, but I really want to introduce those who are here with me on the radio show this morning. Yes, Dr. Cruikshank is gone now. I got to say a special welcome to this gentleman, Corey Drakes. He's our physicist. Is that enough as far as the title goes for you? Physicist at the QEH, medical physicist?
Yeah, sure. So, medical physicist is the correct title. It's just a matter of applying physics concepts and theories to a clinical setting.
He does a lot more than that, though. He has been the one charged to lead the installation and everything associated with our Linear Accelerator, and he will tell you a bit more about that in a matter of moments. And this is really a game changer for our oncology services at the hospital. Also here with us, no stranger now, for sure, Dr. Aja Clark, our service improvement manager, and normally co-hosting the show with me now, and ready to take over in the not too distant future, right, Dr. Clark?
Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, Dr.
Happy
Clark.
to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you here. I got to shout out our other service improvement managers, Dr. Gustav there in the office as well. Very busy, but she should have been spending some time with us this morning as well. But she has a number of things on the ground to do. And joining us on the line will be Dr. Sripathi, Dr. Lalitha Sripathi. That is the right pronunciation.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, she will be joining us on the line. She is our consultant oncologist and really the head of department, and she's the one charged with caring for patients with cancer. She's the one charged with doing just that. So that's where the conversation lies this morning. That's what we'll be talking about as we take you through this morning's proceedings. So it's all about the Pulse Radio Show and looking at the LINAC update, transformation of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital's radiation oncology services. So let's get started just with that. When we get this LINAC, or let's talk about that process first of all, because just the acquisition and even getting to this stage where we can say that tomorrow we will be welcoming this piece of equipment into the hospital, that is a major milestone for us at the hospital.
Yes, it is. It took us a while to get to this point because of the technical nature of the project. I remember when we were discussing the project at the beginning, we had to find a system that not only could physically fit in the existing bunker that we were planning to use, where we previously housed the old Cobalt system, but we had to ensure that the bunker can safely contain that radiation hazard so that while we treat patients, the staff were not overexposed to radiation. So it took some while to get there, and I think we are at a monumental stage now where we can say that we have passed the final inspection. Previously, we had some challenges with some of the activities associated with the project, including site readiness, etc. I don't know if you remember, Shane, from the press briefing, we were supposed to have a final inspection back in July. We would have failed that inspection because the floor was out by 2 millimeters.
And if for our listeners you can explain how, I mean, people would hear 2 millimeters. Everyone should know what that is on a ruler.
Sure.
That is barely anything.
Yes.
But 2 millimeters would have thrown things out of whack.
Sure.
For us, in terms, and when I say out of whack, in terms of meeting those timelines that you had previously presented to the media and to Barbados on that Gantt chart when we held that press conference, to really explain to Barbadians how intricate this process is.
Yes, so very intricate indeed. So the previous system that we had was about 2 times less in weight versus this linear accelerator that is 11,000 pounds. So in order to prepare that floor, we had to reinforce it so it can withstand the load of the system. And reinforcing that floor, we had to meet a plus or minus 3 millimeter tolerance. And during the final survey of the area, it was revealed that we were out by just 2 millimeters. And like I tell the team at the hospital, management, the executive team, etc., if we are talking about delivering accurate and precise radiation treatment, it starts with the environment. So 2 millimeters, could predominantly mean that we can be overexposing basically the organs at risk that we want to safeguard to reduce toxicities, or we can be underexposing the tumor, and therefore the likelihood of recurrence of the cancer would increase. So meeting these sub-millimeter tolerances are absolutely critical. And it was unfortunate that we were out by just 2 millimeters.
Yeah, and the stringent standards are there for what you just explained,
Sure.
so that we can deliver accurate and quality care. And as far as the linear accelerator goes, and when you Google it, or when those people that like to do their research via those channels, the linear accelerator is a cutting edge technology used in radiation therapy. It delivers high precision treatment to cancer cells while minimizing exposure to surrounding healthy tissue, dramatically improving patient outcomes.
Sure.
So that 2 millimeters would stop you from doing just that.
Of course, it would. Again, because of the amount of radiation that we'll be delivering to the target volumes, we want to ensure that radiation is conformal just to the target volume. And we also need to ensure, as you rightfully said, that the normal tissues, the normally functioning organs that are in close proximity to those target volumes are also protected from radiation. Because even though we use radiation to eradicate a cancer, it can also induce cancer as well. And that's why, these 2 millimeter or sub-millimeter tolerances are so critical.
Can I ask?
Of course.
To know, you talked about preparing the floor for the LINAC. What else had to be done to prepare that bunker?
So we had to do a number of things. So we had to have the HVAC system in place, because if you don't have the right environmental conditions, like the right temperature to dissipate that heat that's produced by the system, or to counteract the heat actually that's dissipated by the system, then the system can overheat and it will fail, right? And you will not be able to treat patients with the system. in terms of the electrical power, we had to upgrade the system or the electrical side of things to ensure that the power requirements were satisfied, so that we have the right power to be able to treat our patients using this sophisticated cutting edge piece of technology. In terms of cooling, again, we had to do a lot of plumbing to install a chiller system, which is responsible, for again cooling that system. And then there was a huge IT component, because there would be multiple computers that would be used for treatment planning, for the electronic medical records, which is called the area oncology management system, and all of those computers, etc., had to be tested to ensure that the communication was there, etc. So I think the IT team at the hospital did a brilliant job with getting that domain up, so that all the computers can talk amongst themselves, but also through the system to be able to share the information and retrieve information as necessary.
So we can see there are a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts.
Definitely.
And when we talk about those moving parts, you would have explained, I want you to reiterate this for our listeners here on the Pulse Radio Show, because we set some dates initially, and we said that by mid-September we should be treating the first patient.
Sure.
But you also said something else. You said that can change. That is subject to change because there are so many moving parts.
Yes.
Speak about those moving parts, because we were supposed to have, as a part of that 2 millimeters out, we were supposed to have some assessments being done.
Sure.
Of the environment for the linear accelerator. So explain now how that 2 millimeters caused the cascading delay to where we are now.
Sure. So when we found out during the final inspection that we would have failed to meet some of the site readiness requirements, ideally, meeting this particular 2 millimeter tolerance, we had to mobilize a team to be able to rectify the challenges with the floor. And people with these competencies and skill sets are not readily available on the island, so we had to outsource those services. That was one thing. And then after we were able to remedy the situation, then it was also based on Varian's, who is the supplier, their team coming back to do validation, right, and another assessment to ensure that we would have satisfied the requirements. And we basically had to fall in line with their schedule, right? Because these persons are installing LINACs all over the world, and because of not being able to meet those site readiness requirements, we then had to fall into alignment with their schedule, and that actually caused pretty much a 2-month delay.
2-month delay. So now we are, when I say back on track, we are on track on what is a new schedule.
Sure.
And tomorrow we will be welcoming the piece of equipment, state-of-the-art linear accelerator, into the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We have some parking restrictions in place so that process moves smoothly. Talk about just that moment. How are you feeling right now?
I think we are quite excited. We really are looking forward to treating patients in Barbados again. We know that cancer is time sensitive, so timely treatment is very important. And we were out of the service for almost a year and a half now. Of course, we had some mitigation in place where we would send patients overseas for treatment, etc. But that also requires a lot of coordination, and it may not happen at the rate that we would prefer it to happen. But nevertheless, to welcome back this type of service to Barbados with cutting-edge technology is an exciting moment.
Indeed, an exciting moment. You also welcomed recently, we welcomed recently to our team Dr. Lalitha Sripathi, our lead consultant oncologist at the hospital, and she's on the line now. Good morning, Dr. Sripathi. Hope you're doing well. I know you're very busy, but I'm glad that you could spend some time with us here on the Pulse Radio Show. Are you hearing me?
Good morning, Mr. Feely. Yes. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Shane is fine.
Okay.
Talk to us. We are at a really critical stage. We are now bringing in the Linear Accelerator tomorrow, and I know you're excited to really start treatment using this facility. First, let me ask you, what how would you describe this moment for the hospital and what this means for the oncology department, which you now lead?
Yeah, so this is truly an exciting time for all of us because we are moving from Cobalt to Halcyon, and it's a major step forward, not just technologically, but also historically and clinically. For decades, Cobalt machines were the cornerstone of radiation treatments because they are simple and they made cancer treatment accessible in many parts of the world, including Barbados. And millions of people received radiation treatment through Cobalt machines, and so tremendous respect for the technology. It truly laid foundation for the modern radiation technology. But as medicine evolves, so should our tools. And with Cobalts, though they are very effective, they use a radioactive source that decay over time. So that can affect treatment accuracy. And because it's a radioactive source, there is always issues with safety and disposal. But when we are having Halcyon, we are now entering a new era of precision and safety. It's a state-of-the-art linear accelerator. It's fully digital, it's fast, and it's incredibly accurate. It uses advanced imaging and treatment planning so that we can deliver high radiation doses which are very much confined to the tumor, and at the same time avoiding the surrounding normal tissues as much as possible. And so what we are doing is basically having better outcomes with better quality of life with lessened side effects.
Yeah, I was going to...
So considering patient's perspective, this means also shorter treatment times compared to Cobalt. So from patient's perspective, it means more comfort, better outcomes, and the treatments are quieter. So for cancer patients who are already anxious with all that is happening with them, this can be very reassuring. And from a radiation oncologist's perspective, I can now deliver the conformal radiation treatments, like I mentioned, like IMRT, IGRT, VMAT, on par with what happens in the developed nations.
Wow.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Yes, Mr.
Yeah, and that's really good to hear. I know many of our listeners will be happy to hear that, and they can't wait till we have it operational. You spoke about delivering faster care. That is something that Barbadians definitely want to hear. Talk about what you have been doing. You joined the team recently. Talk a bit about what you've been doing to help improve how we see patients and really the delivery of care in the clinic.
So I started working here at QEH from mid-May, and since then we provide our services to all patients with solid tumors, and we provide all systemic treatments, whether it is chemotherapy or immunotherapy or targeted therapy, even palliative care, and we take care of all of that. And simultaneously, for any patients requiring radiation treatments with a curative intent, we would put everything together and we are sending them to Colombia because the government takes care of everything. So that's how here. And what some few changes that we have made in the department to be able to provide better treatment and quality of care to patients is that we increased the number of patients that we see so that we can lessen the waiting time either for the regular appointments or for the new appointments. So we increased the number of new cancer patients that we see every week, so that resulted in increasing number of cancer patients seen every month, so ultimately resulting in reduced waiting time for patients. And also simultaneously we increased the number of regular patients or follow-up patients in our daily clinics. So that also helped reducing patient times. And now we are looking at providing all these sophisticated radiation treatments all by ourselves. And we are also working on improving our chemotherapy delivery services as well.
Last question before you go. Where would this acquisition of the Linear Accelerator, the LINAC machine, put us in terms of, you said alongside developed nations, but where would it put us in terms of that level of oncological care?
It puts us at a level where we would be able to provide the highest quality radiation treatments to our and ensuring their safety, ensuring better outcomes, ensuring avoiding all possible side effects with the treatments. So, like I mentioned earlier, truly excited and feel very honored to be a part of this history in making.
And we really want to thank you for choosing Barbados as the place that you will deliver your experience and your care to your patients. And we really want to hear about more of those success stories. I know you have to get back to your clinic, many patients still to see, and you're improving those wait times, so you can't improve them if you're here with us. So I know you got to get back to work. Thank you, Dr. Sripathi, for spending some time here with us on the Pulse Radio Show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shane, for having me once again. Yeah.
Definitely our pleasure. Mr. Drakes, I'll come back to you. Corey,
Sure.
talk to us about that success story in terms of decreasing the wait times in the clinic, because at that press conference, that is something that we shared, that press conference a few months ago. We shared the improvements that we have been able to make so far in reducing the wait times for people who come to clinic and the numbers coming into clinic.
Sure. So, what I would say about this, Shane, is that always remember that cancer is time sensitive. Because you don't have a system, the cancer doesn't say, well, there's no systems in Barbados, let's stop growing, right? The cells, it doesn't work like that. So, with Dr. Sripathi coming on board and really improving, reduce wait times and stuff like that, is a, marvelous achievement, because it's probably one of the KPIs that we were keeping close attention to. And she was able to come there and hit the ground running and, rally the team. So kudos to the full team in oncology for making this particular achievement, or getting us to
where we are
now.
Yeah, shout out Mr. Withers as well. Mr. Withers, a big part of the team, a good friend of mine. He really helped me to understand what needs to be done at the hospital in terms of promoting what we do in oncology and the success stories that we have there. So with that, let me say the numbers to call are 434-1007 and 434-1070. I'm sorry that we tied up the lines but we had to share that information from both Dr. Cruikshank and Dr. Sripathi. But you're now able to call us, and you can send us a WhatsApp at 434-1007. So let me give you those numbers again. You can call us at 434-1007 or 434-1070. Send us a WhatsApp as well at 434-1007. Of course, the Pulse Radio Show being brought to you compliments Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd. Of course, we have to pay tribute to our sponsors and put some money in the bank. Kimberly managing things on the inside. The Pulse Radio Show brought to you compliments Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd. So, as we continue the conversation, we bring in the Halcyon Linear Accelerator tomorrow. What happens next?
Well, first, I just wanted to walk you and the public through the process. So tomorrow we will be moving the Linear Accelerator from one of our storage facilities. We didn't have sufficient space on the main hospital compound, so we had to store outside of the hospital. We did have to do some things to ensure that it was stored in a environmentally friendly condition, which we satisfy and which we have been monitoring over the last couple of months. But to move that 11,000 pound system, we're gonna have to outsource services from a local rigger.
Sounds like no easy task.
Yes, definitely not an easy task. So much so actually that the supplier is flying in a rigging team.
Okay.
Persons with the experience and expertise involve or necessary for this type of scenario, because imagine lifting that system onto the transport vehicle. You just can't lift the system any way you choose to, right? You have different lifting points that you could use on the system, etc. So they will be there to guide the local team. We did do some preparation work at the hospital to be able to safely receive the system, but we do have constraints, right? We do have some very low-hanging ceilings, the door entrances, you have the low-hanging lintels. The system has a fixed height, you can't change that. So we had a number of meetings to discuss the rigging methodology, and then we did do a risk assessment to make sure that when we rig this system or move this system from one place to the final location where it will be installed, that it can be done in a safe and efficient manner. So what are the next steps, Shane, to just answer your question? Once we have it in the final installation position, then we have a group of engineers who would join the local team to install the system. And as I said, the system have a lot of components that have to speak to each other in order for us to deliver that highly precise and conformal radiation therapy. So that in itself is going to take a while to get there, because not only are you configuring the system and ensuring that the components of the system are speaking to each other as they should, but also there will be a validation and verification tests that will also have to be performed.
So validation tests to be performed. So we gave timelines last time.
Sure.
Can we do that this time around?
I can give some timelines. So for example,
and don't ever be afraid to
Sure.
say that, like you said before.
Sure.
You gave context.
Yeah.
We can meet these timelines once everything falls into place.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely the reality, because again, with any system that is man-made, anything can happen, right?
Right.
Things can happen during shipment.
And humans are moving the equipment into place as well.
Exactly. So anything can happen. So fingers crossed, everything is going according to the timeline that we have designed. With the update coming from the Variant and the Global Medical side, who are the suppliers and the distributors in the country. So, for example, we have the rigging that will take place starting from tomorrow, and it should finish maybe on Friday. We have the installation scheduled to take place around the 27th, which is next Monday.
27th of October, yeah.
Yes, and the installation period could probably end, I would say, early November, depending on how things go, depending on what the installers find, and if it is that there's something that needs to be changed, etc. They can action those things. But based on the timeline, it should finish around the first week in November, and then from there you have your physicists, right, performing all of the acceptance testing and commissioning activities. So it would be me, and I would also be joined by other physicists from Washington University and in Missouri.
Okay.
That was the place where I was trained to commission these type of systems, and because of that collaborative effort, these guys are actually joining us now here in Barbados to ensure that the system is commissioned. And the term commission is basically ensuring that the data that will be used by the system, that clinical data, to deliver this precise and highly conformal radiation therapy treatment is accurate, right? Because you can't use something that is inaccurate to deliver accurate radiation therapy treatment. So all of those calibrations that would have been done by the installers, the engineers, we have to do what we call calibration verifications to ensure that the system components are performing in a stable manner and in alignment with the international standards.
Right, and you spoke about partnerships. Speak about those teams, those people, those agencies you've been working with. One of them, the International Atomic Energy Agency, even.
Sure.
Talk about those partnerships that have enabled what is this environment to get to where we are today, bringing the Linear Accelerator in house tomorrow.
These partnerships are absolutely critical. I mean, without these partnerships, I don't think that we would be here having this conversation today about Linear Accelerator technology in Barbados. Because when I think about partnership, I think about training, for example. we need to ensure that persons are competent, persons have the skill sets required to be able to man and operate, these type of systems. And the learning curve for this system was pretty steep. Cobalt technology, old technology, less complicated because they have less moving parts, for example. Right. The complication increase where you add, more advances to technologies, and therefore you need that oversight, and the oversight that you require is oversight from persons who have the skill set and the competencies. And the International Atomic Energy Agency, they played a critical role in this particular aspect. So they were the persons who sponsored me, for example, to go to Washington, Missouri, on a short observership where I could have participated in the commissioning of one of their recently installed Halcyons. They would have sponsored one of the radiation oncologists to spend a week in Washington University to work alongside the radiation oncologists there. I'm not sure if that one, we were successful with that one, but even with the senior radiation therapist, he was in Missouri as well, training with other radiation therapists, upgrading that skill set. And because of that partnership with the IAA, by extension then we have partnerships with Washington University, and hence why we're in a position now to receive that assistance from them physically on the ground. But then there's also an avenue there for remote assistance as well, as we transition from old cobalt technology to linear accelerator technology.
So the training has been critical. I mean, Dr. Clark, you can talk about why training too is just so essential, not only in oncology but across the board. And I'm speaking about continuous training. As a doctor, you're a doctor, a physician by profession. Yes, you're a service improvement manager, but how important is continuous training in delivering quality care?
So the medical field, as we all know, is extremely dynamic. It's always changing. There's always something new to learn. There are advances in technology and the way that we do things. So it's extremely important. And with most clinicians, it's part of our certification process that we have to continually train and learn new information every year in order to be registered. So it definitely plays a critical role. But I wanted to go back to Mr. Drake's. The work that you all are doing, it seems to be extremely specialized. And the hospital is clearly very fortunate to have you on their team and leading this process. So I wanted to know, you talked a bit about the training, but if you could tell us a bit about your background and how you came to be, managing this project.
Sure. So, just to answer the question, but I want to go back to something quickly. So you did mention that it's a specialized area. Mm-hmm. Currently, we are in the process of recruiting other medical physicists. Okay. We do have a deficit of medical physicists in the Caribbean. Some people tend to...
So not just Barbados, the entire Caribbean.
Yeah, the entire Caribbean. Physics at the bachelor's level is okay, but when you go to master's level in radiation physics and biomedical engineering, it don't seem as like one of those areas that persons are too keen on pursuing. But there's a definite need for medical physicists, not only in radiation oncology, but also in medical imaging, where you need the physicist oversight, especially as you start to use more and more radiation in medicine.
Right.
But to bring me back to your question, so my background, I do have a bachelor's in maths and physics at the University of the West Indies. I won a Commonwealth scholarship, and I was able to pursue my master's degree in radiation physics and biomedical engineering at the University College of London in England. I came back to Barbados, and one of the first things I did was a gap analysis, right, to find out where we are in terms of radiation medicine and what do we need. And I always knew that in order to solve the challenges that we have in terms of mortality and morbidity related to cancer, we needed to improve the technology that we're using. And I was doing my research from that moment, back in 2015, 2016, up until 2023, where this system became available, and we realized we don't need to build an entire bunker, a new bunker, to be able to house and man the system, but we could use, something that we already have in existence. I did have to do my validation and my verification exercises to make sure that the current walls, given their density and their thicknesses, could have contained that radiation hazard, and that was checked off. The physical dimensions of the system can fit into the room. That was also checked off the list. And to compare this technology with the old cobalt technology, this technology have a lot more features. Right. So it has an onboard imager, so we can perform CTs.
Okay.
Yes, prior to treatment, because
All in one place.
all in one place. For example, keeping patients immobile during treatment is very important. Reproducing that is very important, and before you can use what you call the physical anatomy in order to set up and reproduce patients in that setup position. But now, because we have imaging like a CT on board this linear accelerator, you can actually identify where the tumor is on that given day,
Okay.
right, and deliver that treatment to that tumor.
This is extremely promising for the population.
Sure.
And the central themes I'm hearing are safety.
Yes.
That you all are taking safety extremely seriously. I'm hearing about, continuous improvement, the training aspect of it.
Sure.
Multidisciplinary is a multidisciplinary project, so we have the engineers on board, IT, everyone on board.
Sure.
Also, the other thing is that we're talking about reducing the wait times, and then understanding the fact that one system might be down, we're still making provisions for persons to still get the care that they need with sending them to Colombia.
Sure.
So I think that this really highlights the hospital's commitment
Definitely.
to all of these things and to the patient, and not just the patient, but also the employees. So I want to thank you.
No problem. You're welcome.
And speak about too, you have I mentioned Dr. Gustav, and she couldn't be here, but I know you're closely connected. I know that this falls under her service improvement bracket, but how do we really get to that point that we can start to tick off some boxes and saying, it's not in action yet, but to promote service improvement in this area?
So I think that she really, as you said, would be the best person.
Yeah, of course.
She would be the best
I'm
person.
not putting you on the spot.
She would be the best person to answer this. But I think that it always has to do with the same pillars, which would be, understanding what's happening at the baseline, determining what your key performance indicators, so what things are you going to be monitoring to look for improvement, involving all the key stakeholders in the process, so the clinical staff, the patient, the technical persons, involving them, and then making changes incrementally, and always looking back to make sure that you're seeing the improvements that you want, and understanding that change is no short process. It's a continuous thing.
So actually, just to chime in on this point quickly.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
I want you to hold that thought.
Yeah.
Let's welcome a caller here to the show. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we help?
Peace be unto you, Shane, to the staff, and to your distinguished guests.
Good morning.
And I am, thankful and happy about these persons who are looking after the sick. I've experienced cancer in my family that every day I cry. And I was fortunate, but I'm still fighting and trying to keep it away. But I like what the gentleman said, that they send him and someone else up, because I find that sometimes, but even with the transport, they bring these things here, and then it seems like they don't have nobody trained to look after them when they break down. So I just hope, especially where the hospital is concerned, and these machines and things come in, that the trained Barbadians to keep these things up. And I hope that people, but Shane, I'm going to say this, I went to town this morning and I met a lot of pensioners, eye clinic and other surgeries. Some of them just get him put back for nearly a whole year and think, where's the problem?
Yes. So
where's the problem?
So many
people hear me on the radio and they know me. In the supermarket, on the road, people just coming up to me. I give them the number, but some people frightened. I ain't for no against no
and
party.
They don't need to be frightened. They
and
don't
I'm
need
not
to be frightened
criticizing
at
the
all.
hospital, but we need help, especially the pensioners. When you get the little money and you pay bills, all of it gone, and people can't afford to pay for surgeries and them kind of things. So we need some help, and we need a forum, maybe in Queen's Park and others, just like how they having the constituency meetings and things. Let the hospital come out and talk to the people, especially the elderly.
I'm glad you said that, though, because I know the CEO is very keen on doing things like that, having an outreach to the public. We have our internal town halls where we speak to our staff, and we try to come up with ways and more things that we can do to improve our service
Not
to the
crossing
public.
not crossing you. Even at Q in the community, because you know you find a lot of elderly, they're glad on Thursday to go out. But let somebody come and sit down and know that the elderly come and speak to them about their problems. Sometimes they give you numbers, and when you call the numbers, you ain't getting no answers at all. Nobody ain't replying. So I just call in because I love the elderly. I myself in that bracket now, and we need help. I went and they get my pension this morning, all almost gone because all gone in bills. Because scarcely buy the right things for me to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we really need help and we need looking at.
All right, so let me tell you about the outreach that we are doing at the hospital. On October 23rd, today is the 20th, so October 23rd would be Thursday. 21st, 22nd. No, 21st, 22nd. That'll be Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday. My math isn't so good now in my old age. But we have on Wednesday at 5 p.m. one of our leads, consultant general and breast surgeon, Dr. Dale Springer. He will be hosting a special forum, an annual lecture.
Thursday?
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
So both
It happened to anyone.
listen, so let me first say that I was wrong, Corey was wrong. Corey was telling me Wednesday. October the 23rd is Thursday. So on Thursday at 5 p.m., you know where NUPW auditorium is?
Yes, out Dalkeith.
Out Dalkeith, right.
But out there, that'll be too late for the elderly because people will got to come out. So out there ain't got no lights, no nothing for to stay at the bus stop who don't have transportation.
Listen, something could get sorted out. But at
Already, we're
5
going to get a
p.m.,
bus.
5 p.m.,
Okay.
there's an annual lecture and discussion.
Okay.
It's called Beyond the Diagnosis, Wellness in Breast Cancer Care. This is something that not only the elderly, but others will want to hear because, you know, we've been hearing about the trends that younger people have been getting coming down with breast cancer.
Yes.
So the featured speaker will be Dr. Dale Springer. He's a consultant general and
Dr.
breast surgeon.
Springer.
You know him.
Yes.
And then you got Mrs. Annette Cumberbatch. She's a counseling psychologist. So you know
he was
you
on
need,
the clinic that way he was on.
yeah, but you know you need that side of help, the mental help, to get through these things. So they're looking at a holistic approach for patients and caregivers, early detection and medical treatment options, coping strategies for patients and caregivers, wellness and emotional support throughout the breast cancer journey. So this is being put on by one of our leads in cancer treatment, or breast. He's a breast surgeon. So you have that avenue. You see, this is how the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and its partners, because there's some partners involved in this as well. This is how we are reaching out, you know, with the information
You have to reach out a little earlier because, you know, after 5 o'clock and things, the elderly got, if they have transportation, but you've got to do it a little earlier.
I believe if you want the information, you will get there, but we will try to always facilitate. But you know what? You know what happens as well? Then we have agencies and our partners like the CBC and other media houses that will go and they will record Dr. Springer so that then later in the night you could watch it in the comfort of your home or the 7 o'clock news.
All right. But to me, that time will be too late for the elderly, especially those who don't have transportation.
People can get there. Trust me, people can get there because breast cancer, this is the month that we really raise awareness, and it is important. I think anything that is important to your health,
of course, but then the transportation to get back home and out there is very dark. Around the garrison is very dark.
But around the garrison is also the place where we have our Barbados Police Service. They're going to make sure that everyone is safe so that they can catch the bus and get to their destination.
Well, I thank you for that.
Listen, Corey Drakes, our physicist, has something to say. He's the lead on this Linear Accelerator project. He has something to say to you as well.
Yeah, sure. So I just want to thank Nicola for her contribution. I know
I appreciate you, and thank you for coming back home and trying to look after your people, because a lot of people, when they get the education and things, you know, they forget about the people, especially less fortunate.
Definitely. So I wanted to respond to a comment that you made about the training. So even though the hospital would have sent between 2 and 3 people overseas for training, that initiative is basically a training initiative. So on our return to Barbados, we would have trained a number of individuals. The hospital also invested in 2 engineers to go overseas to also be trained on the system. And this is as a result of trying to reduce potential downtime on the system. At least these engineers will be able to do or be able to deliver a first line response for the system. So they would be liaising with the service engineers overseas and working alongside them to troubleshoot any issues that we have with the system. We do have a lot of applications training as well, so we would have trained a lot of IT professionals on the system as administrators. A lot of the technologists who will be working with the system will also receive some training over the next couple of weeks. And I think that QEH was doing it in a way to minimize, potential mistakes, and that is part of quality assurance, right? To ensure that you put measures in place to minimize mistakes, and then you couple that with training, and then there's your quality control checks, your quality improvement, where you need that feedback mechanism, and then you have your internal and your external audit. So I really want to thank the caller for bringing
Thank you too,
training.
and God bless you all, and continue to do the good work, and I pray grant you all wisdom, kindness, and care to especially the elderly.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Shane.
I got one more thing to tell you before you go. Outside of this annual lecture, remember that is on Thursday at 5. Later in the year, I'm pretty sure the CEO will put on a general forum where persons can come into the auditorium like they did last year. And hear what the hospital has planned under the 2025 to 2028 strategy. So what we have planned over the next few years, like how we're bringing in the HIS system. When I say HIS, Health Information System, where we are taking the medical records from paper to electronic so that we could speed up services there. And then there's a whole transformation process of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital that we will be sharing with you. The CEO will be back on the radio program to share more details on that, so you can listen out and you can tell those people when they come to you that we will continue to reach out to them through this radio show and other avenues, and our media partners help us to do it as well.
So you can still go on the net and find it?
Of course, www.qehconnect.com. I know you like to use your phone to do that, or you go on your laptop. So www.qehconnect.com.
I can't afford a laptop now. You're going to just got the little phone and just open that. Nothing don't happen with it because I can't afford another one.
Yeah, well, you could go and use your phone, and then you could always listen back to this program to get the information. We got all the podcasts there so that you can get it at www.qehconnect.com. And that would then guide you to our YouTube channel where you can listen back and then watch some of our other content as well.
Thank you very much for hearing me. God bless you all, and God bless Barbados. And I want to see a good QEH. One time QEH was the guiding light, the beacon of the Caribbean.
It can go above that now, because
I hope so.
We are going to be the only hospital in the region with a Linear Accelerator. I keep calling you doctor. No. I want to give you, that's your uncle.
Yes.
Your uncle.
My uncle is Dr. Drake's, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Drake.
So to answer your question, Shane, so we do have other linear accelerators in the Caribbean. There's one in Trinidad in the public sector. There's a couple, 2 in Jamaica in the public sector. And then there's this one coming on board in Barbados. There are other Caribbean countries that have 1 or 2 in the private sector as well. But given where I stand, I have to look out for the public sector, because the public sector, I'm dealing with the public patients. And I think that's one of the motivations for me coming back to Barbados, to ensure that at a minimum we have a linear accelerator in the public sector in Barbados. But there is one thing that I wanted to mention to the quality improvement manager here, is that we do have some audits built into this. So the IEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, who are the watchdogs for the peaceful uses of ionizing radiation, which is the type of radiation that we'll be delivering to eradicate cancer or treat patients palliatively, will be coming in just before we go live with the system to audit that transition, to ensure that we are at the level that we need to be at to be delivering these complex type of treatments using the Linear Accelerator. And I will be also participating in something called a postal dose audit. So when we calibrate this system to deliver radiation, part of the verification is to ensure that the system is actually delivering the radiation to a particular point in water, as it should, because water is one of the mediums that we use to mimic the behavior of radiation in human tissues.
Okay.
And this quality audit that I'm participating in, I have to set up the phantom that I'm using to acquire this data and send that little test object up to the IEA, and they would expose that object in their calibration laboratories to tell us if we have calibrated the system successfully or not. So we do have some quality oversight built into the project.
I think it's really great to hear how you all have the quality improvement and the service improvement aspect and the safety aspect of it hardwired into the process.
Yeah.
And that we're planning for not only now, but for the future. So the aim is to get the machine up and running, but to keep it up and running.
Of course. So quality is always on our minds in everything that we do in radiation oncology.
So happy to hear. So just for our listeners, before you go, last words, what can they expect? What can we expect tomorrow? Let's deal with tomorrow first as we welcome the Linear Accelerator into hospital.
Well, tomorrow, what can you expect? So we expect from the project team on the ground to safely have the system move from the location where we currently have it stored to its final installation position. What I can say is that the engineers are on the ground as we speak. They're just as excited or even more excited than us to have this system installed. And then we will go swiftly into commissioning and then wrap up with the applications training and then treating our first patients come the end of November.
All right, so you heard it from Mr. Drakes, our physicist, lead physicist on the ground, connected to our Linear Accelerator project, and we're going to share with you more right here on the Pulse Radio Show as things happen with the LINAC. Let's go quickly to Dr. Cruikshank to get an update about what's happening in accident and emergency. Remember, the department has been responding to that mass casualty, the accident which occurred just outside the Les Savon School. Dr. Cruikshank?
Hi, Shane.
Yes, what can you tell us now? What's the update in terms of how we're dealing with these patients?
Okay, we were able to send the majority of the minor cases, as we said, to the 24-hour clinic. We have the major ones here in the A&E, and we've been able to stabilize them. Initial treatment, they've gone for x-rays, and they will have to be referred to the specialist. So those more serious ones, those are the ones we're managing currently in the A&E.
And I remember during the last update, non-life-threatening injuries all across the board?
Yes, I would say yes, non-life-threatening, but the ones with us, limb-threatening.
Okay. Well, we will continue to bring the updates, of course, share them with our media partners. Thank you, Dr. Cruikshank, for that update coming straight from the Accident and Emergency Department as our medical teams there remain very busy. If you're unsure, if you need to come to A&E, you can always call 536-4800 for our patient advice and liaison service as we continue to deal with this surge, which is directly related to that mass casualty at Les Savon. Final thoughts from you, Dr. Clark?
I think that this was a great session. It was really nice to hear from Dr. Drakes and all of the great work they're doing in oncology. And I'm very excited to see how it progresses over the next couple of weeks. And I'm sure the Barbadian public is extremely grateful for all of the hard work the hospital is doing to try to get them the highest quality of care possible.
Yeah, Dr. Drakes is his uncle.
Mr. Drakes.
I make the same mistake all the time. But as always, thank you, our listeners, for tuning in to the Pulse Radio Show today as we focused on oncology and the work they're doing in bringing that Linear Accelerator into hospital to really accelerate and deliver the cure that our oncology patients need. Just a quick reminder, the annual lecture and discussion Beyond Diagnosis, Wellness in Breast Cancer Care, that is on Thursday, October 23rd at 5 p.m. at the NUPW Auditorium. The featured speaker, Dr. Dale Springer, our very own Consultant General and Breast Surgeon. He will be joined by Mrs. Annette Cumberbatch, a counseling psychologist, for that holistic approach for patients and caregivers. That's what they will be speaking about. On behalf of the team here, Mr. Drakes, Dr. Clark, I'm Shane Seeley. It's been good spending some time with you on what has been a very overcast day so far, and hope for a brighter tomorrow as we bring the LINAC into our hospital. See you next week for another great episode of the Pulse Radio Show.
Thank you so very much, Shane. The Pulse Radio Show brought to you with the kind compliments of Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd.
For all your medical supply needs, visit Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. Med-Safe Medical Supplies Ltd. Your trusted source for medical essentials.